Welcome to episode 59 of Activating Ambrosia podcast. And something very spiritually intense happened today. And there are a lot of signs that just came to me. So I was done correcting papers and I was just listening to some music. And I again happened to listen to one of the songs that I love playing during grounding, and that is Ninghalo Keuna Datta Patriarchy. And in that moment, a lot of things landed for me. In fact, being a feminist for quite some time now, I was not very comfortable stepping into this particular temple because there is this belief that when you have, the afternoon prayers or the artis, it has specific zone where only the men stand and the women are supposed to vacate and step down. And for the longest time, I actually thought of it as a very discriminatory practice. And there are many practices associated, even menstruation for that matter, and the restrictions that are kind of imposed. But recently, through a couple of embodiment practices that I was doing, and through movement coach, my movement coach, I came across this very interesting idea of the Vayus. So there are 5 Vayus in the human body. Just like I think you have 5 to 7 layers of bodies. This, of course, I came across the physical body, the astral body, and the mind body, and a lot of bodies that I came across when I was doing a course on Natyashastra. Because for the performance, the body is the vessel, and this is way back, I think, in July 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, expansion happened in 23, the first or the second quarter, April onwards, April to September. And now a more incremental thing of one-to-one sessions with Meher Malik that I'm doing for the movement, and that's even more intensive because group coaching is different. Group coaching is like there are 3-4 people or more people, even sometimes 8-10 people, and everybody shares, and you just kind of talk for say 5 or 10 minutes, and it's mostly listening, the listening part of coaching. So it's essentially like a classroom, but here in the current sessions that I'm doing, it's completely tailor-made for your own needs. And the coach just asks, what does your body want to do today? And living rationally and from just the thinking mind, even living in years and decades of numbing the body, not being aware of even thirst and hunger and things like that, because you're so engrossed in doing something rational, to come all of a sudden, maybe not that sudden, but having just been deeply in touch with the body for just 1.5 years is still this is a huge step, but it amazes me every time how deeply we connect. It's more like I walk one step and the body walks 10 steps. And because of that, this wisdom of the Vayus, I felt so much of profound wisdom is associated with it. So the Pran Vayu is from the head to the heart, into the heart. And then you have the Vyana Vayu, if I'm not mistaken, the Vayu which is supposed to control all our muscles and which goes from your solar plexus, the center of the body, the core of the body, to outwards to your limbs, to your legs, to your hands. And there is something called the Apana Vayu, which is supposed to regulate the downward going flows. And because womb is such a sacral space, and again, people might, or my previous self, or even my current self in its duality would definitely say, aren't we boiling it down to essentialism? Because women and menstruation and the downward going flow. But I think it definitely impacts us because we have a more sustained cycle of a whole month, and the ups and the downs are very, very magical in that sense. And probably which is why uh, there are these, restrictions in not being in the Vat Prakriti so much, because that can mess up with our bodies and our cycles. And Guru, which is Jupiter, and also which is associated with the Datta uh, you know sects. It's so much to do with ideas, it's so much to do with ascending thing, taking everything up and not really going down. Uh, that to be exposed and to be holding that kind of energy can mess up, or it's assumed that it can mess up. But of course, I'm not being so particular about words, because, and it's absolutely open to people's interpretation. But this is what I realized recently, having learned to listen to my body, and not just resisting from an ego point of view. Now, again, when I say ego, it's not necessarily, the bad ego. Like, it's not like ego, issue ego, but it's more like the identification, our separation from the entirety, from the species, from nature, from consciousness. We, as we know what we are, is that ego. And it's supposed to keep us safe, it's supposed to govern our fears, and it's supposed to moderate between id and super ego, and do all those safekeeping jobs for us. And it has done wonderful job for it definitely does wonderful job for almost 1-2 decades of our life, the most formative, identity formating days. But when we try to transcend up level, it poses a very big obstacle in the journey, and that's why we say it's multiple deaths that we need to die, metaphorical deaths, to be able to up level, or to be able to, I'm not even like creating a hierarchy, I'm just saying to be able to know the world in unfamiliar terms, because you're letting go of what you think you know, though though a very different kind of knowledge or very different kind of wisdom resides within you. So this idea, uh, now, very, very coincidentally, I happen to have my first home, a home that's, again, this is all about but uh, technically that's on my name in a vicinity of a place that's also known for a board of Swami Samarth, who is again associated with the Datta sect, and my music guru. It was through her that I first heard of him. And then, of course, there were television productions and mythological serials which kind of added, but I was completely not so aware of all of this. And again, it came, I had heard a lot of songs, as I mentioned in one of the previous episodes, which were around Swami Samarth, and then which were played in the school at the beginning, right before the assembly, just for people for the things to fall on their ears, right? And again, to be in this place, which was known to have those vibrations. And I also went and I looked at certain placements, what exactly was happening in the sky at 12 today. But it's spectacular to actually see the entire Aarti. It has a lot of ancestral connection also, because my mother's father's parents were very deeply involved in the service, accommodation, and a lot of things, generosity and charity and whatever arrangements around that temple. And it's maybe because of the ancestral work that I'm doing. It's also because of the placement of Jupiter is in one of the Aries signs in my chart, but it's also in the place of the masculine, in the place of the father, in the place of the work, which is why, of course, maybe I'm into academics or into teaching of whatever kind. So all of that, point being, also I'm discovering new concepts of vertex and anti-vertex, and these are slightly Western concepts, but they make a lot of sense when you just sit with the Vedic and the Placidus and you look at the interconnections. Also, it's absolutely not about blindly believing and becoming vulnerable to people who are misusing this kind of a knowledge system, because I should put this out there. It's just an exploratory, thematic, pattern centric, and most importantly, body and experiential centric. This, because every phase, no matter the most notorious planets being in those most notorious placements, not to just say that they are there for a reason or that's the lesson that you're supposed to process, but it's some kind of a blueprint, it's some kind of an interpretation of your life. And many people may not relate to what they have out there, but if you do, then it's a nice place to just explore. So now, another thing that happened, in line with Erika Jong's poem, Woman Enough, where, in that poem, somewhere she says, I allow the dust to settle in my home, which I have done for at least in two places where I stayed, because I didn't really have a house help and it was not possible to keep the place clean. I have lived maybe in the dustiest of the places, but today I felt I should be cleaning, doing deep cleaning of the home, and also because Diwali is coming, and also because when you invite, an energy, whether it's Lakshmi or whether it's Saraswati or whether whoever, or the goddess herself on a new moon, whether I'm here or whether I'm not here, it should be clean, right? So it does look good to be in a clean home, and I so wished it wasn't used against women in the gender bias society, to be just reducing and giving them that task, that they become nauseated to uh, keep the space clean. If it turns out to be an excuse, sure, everybody should live in a clean space, but it's also, the struggle that we've seen so many of our close uh, relatives or mothers or grandmothers spending their entire life just struggling to keep the place clean, or associating their identity and their worth to having a clean place, and see people pass judgments on it, that sometimes it becomes so difficult. Exactly what Erika Jong says. It's difficult for women to go and cook in the kitchen because of the kind of conditioning that we have. So to end this, I would just say, when you invite one energy, it's bound that you would see varied manifestations, and everything will connect. There could be synchronicities. Sometimes there can also be disassociation because the shaking is happening and you're in the in between space. But just be open to receiving whatever that comes. Do not overthink it, because you cannot rationalize anubhuti, you cannot rationalize prakriti, you cannot rationalize what's only felt in the body, or what's only understood, intuited through the mind body and the mind body soul connection alignment. So just surrender is the only way to be able to tap into this mega mega makeup of interconnections. Thank you.